Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to WCMU's Quiz Central. Our teams tonight are Midland Dow and Flushing, so don't go away.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvi Event Center.
Good luck to both of our teams. Let's play Quiz Central.
Chopin.
Correct. All right, your next toss-up.
The lottery.
Right.
The Stranger.
You are correct. Traverse City Central hangs on. They are our season champions. Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to Quiz Central. I'm your host, Steve Smith. And our featured teams tonight are Flushing and Midland Dow. Both did very well in their original rounds, so we'll see how they face off against each other tonight. They are two of 48 teams that are competing this season. The Quiz Central teams are divided into 4 divisions based on school size. Each division will have a champion, and one of those teams will become this season's overall winner. Now here's Rick to tell us about the CMU scholarships our teams are competing for.
The 4 starters and 3 alternates of the division championship teams will each receive a 2-year, $4,000 room and board scholarship from Central Michigan University Residence Life. In addition, 4 lucky Quiz Central seniors will receive textbook scholarships from the CMU Bookstore. And a special thanks to CMU Enrollment and Student Services, which provides lunch for our contestants and their traveling party.
And both teams are well fed, so we are going to jump right into the action with the Maroon and Gold round. The Maroon and Gold round is a 2-minute timed round. You can answer as many questions as possible. If the team ringing in misses the question, the opposing team will have a chance to respond. There's no talking among team members, and correct answers are worth 10 points. Good luck to both of our teams. Here we go. What opera, in which Rodolfo falls in love with the tuberculosis-stricken Mimi, was written by Puccini and inspired the rock musical Rent? Addison, Flushing.
La Boheme.
That's correct. Next question. The Diary of Anne Frank describes a secret annex in what city? Where Frank? Cade, Flushing.
It would be Amsterdam.
That's correct. Following his tenure at Mississippi State, Dan Mullen became the head football coach at what SEC school that plays in the swamp? Josh, Flushing.
LSU.
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. How about Midland Dow? Anish?
Auburn.
Nope. We'll get an answer for you in just a minute. What lake is drained by the Angara River, is the world's largest freshwater lake by volume, and is in southeastern Siberia? Cade, Flushing.
The Caspian Sea.
Nope, sorry. Over to Midland Dow. Lillian.
Lake Victoria.
Nope, I'm sorry. Incorrect. Next question. For over 20 years, Britain has considered high-speed rail link proposals to connect Gatwick and what busiest airport in the United Kingdom? Ashwin, Midland Dow.
Manchester.
Nope, sorry. Flushing.
Heathrow.
Lily.
Heathrow.
Yeah, Heathrow. Yep, you are right. Okay, that's yes there. Next question. Edmund Muskie was the running mate of what Minnesota Democrat and vice president who lost the 1968 presidential election to Richard Nixon? Lily, Flushing.
Hubert Humphreys.
You are correct. What regular polygon has 9 diagonals, the longest of which divided it into congruent equilateral triangles? We'll find out in a minute. Sorry, a little too late, Addison. The pelvic spurs in snakes and the cecum in humans are examples of what structures? Cade, Flushing.
Vestigial structures?
That's correct. Dan, that takes us to the end of the round. All right, Flushing out to a lead, 50-0 as we conclude that round there. Some of the questions that were missed: the regular polygon that has 9 diagonals is a regular hexagon. Let's see. The SEC school that plays in the swamp is Florida, the University of Florida, Gainesville, and the lake drained by the Angara River is Lake Baikal. All right, again, a good game, a nice start, and it gets us a chance to meet our contestants. Now we're going to go to Flushing first and Cade.
Hi, I'm Cade Jacobus. I'm a junior at Flushing High School. I take up my time doing Mu Alpha Theta and Boy Scouts.
Hello, I'm Josh, and I'm a junior at Flushing, and I am in marching band and jazz band.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm a senior at Flushing, and I'm the class vice president.
Hi, I'm Addison. I'm a junior at Flushing, and I'm the secretary of our ITS troupe and our a cappella choir.
All right, it's great to have you here. Flushing's alternates are Allie Craven and Blaine Pricklick. They're coached by Karen Sleno. Let's give them a nice round of applause. All right, Midland Dow, it's your turn. Anish.
Hi, my name is Anish Midha. I'm a senior at Dow High, and I enjoy acting in Bollywood movies and playing the sitar.
My name is Lillian Presnell Manso, and I like to perform rock music with my band and play football with the bros.
Hi, I'm Ashwin Saxena. I'm a senior at Dow High, and I do MUN and robotics.
Hi, my name is Carter Newcomb. I'm a junior at Dow High, and I like to ride horses and read the Bible in my free time.
All right, good to have you all here. Their alternate is Tate Clark. The team's coach is Amy Bushy. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And with that, the action continues with the kickoff round. The kickoff round is a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that correctly answers the toss-up questions will be asked a bonus. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. Toss-up questions need an individual response, but team members can consult on the bonus. Captains, remember the answers must come from you on the bonus unless you defer to a colleague. Here is your first toss-up question. What first name is shared by the smartest kid on earth in a Chris Ware graphic novel and a person who cracks corn in the folk song Blue Tail Fly? Lily?
Jimmy?
Yes, you are right, and a bonus. What holiday comes 3 days after Maundy Thursday and celebrates Christ's resurrection?
Easter.
Easter.
That is right. Okay, both teams. A Tim Burton film inspired what Broadway musical with songs by Eddie Perfect, which is Addison Flushing?
Beetlejuice?
Yep, here's another bonus. What artists Guernica and The Old Guitarist are examples of Cubism?
Picasso.
You are right. Good guess there, I'm guessing. All right, a toss-up for both teams. What process whose double form occurs in birefringent materials is modeled by Snell's law and is the bending of light as it changes mediums? Ashwin, Midland Dow.
Refraction.
That's right. Here is a bonus. Quack Walker was a slave who successfully won his freedom in what state, which was home to the abolitionist Charles Sumner?
Alabama.
Nope, sorry, Massachusetts. Toss-up question. Which monarch staged the 100 Days Return from Exile on Elba? Ashwin, Midland Dow?
Napoleon.
That's correct, and another bonus. What diplomat from Ghana who died in August 2018 was Secretary General of the United Nations from 1997 to 2006?
No answer.
All right, that's Kofi Annan. Another toss-up. What scientist coined the term radioactivity, is the only person to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences? And Ashwin, Midland Dow?
Marie Curie.
That's right, and another bonus. What character from Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations wears her wedding dress every day after being jilted by her fiancé?
No answer.
All right, that's Miss Havisham. Another toss-up. What author wrote about curious villagers from Woking who are massacred by heat rays in a novel about a Martian invasion titled The War of the Worlds? Lily, Flushing.
Lewis?
Nope, sorry, incorrect. Midland Dow. Ashwin?
Wells.
Say that again?
Wells.
Wells, yes, that's correct. H.G. Wells, and another bonus. Residents of what island off Africa's east coast overthrew its ruling sultan in 1963, then merged with Tanganyika 1 year later to form Tanzania?
Madagascar.
Nope, I'm sorry, Zanzibar. All right, what body of water surrounds the wolf and moose inhabited Isle Royal, borders Sault Ste. Marie? Josh, Flushing.
Lake Superior.
That's right, kind of a giving for us Michiganders, huh? Here's your bonus. What phylum of aquatic animals includes jellyfish, corals, and sea anemones?
Invertebrates?
Nope, Cnidaria. All right, here's your next question for both teams. What band claimed "You're making the typical me break my typical rules" in their 2019 hit Sucker, released 11 years? Lily, Flushing.
The Jonas Brothers.
That's right. All right, a bonus question. In what William Shakespeare play is a pound of flesh demanded by the Jewish moneylender Shylock from the title character?
Was that King Lear? The 12th?
King Lear.
King Lear.
Nope, The Merchant of Venice. All right, both teams can put their buzzers down and take a little bit of a break. Right now, Flushing made a move in that round. We've got a score of 110 to 40. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll see if either of these teams can score a perfect 10, so don't go away.
Preschool gives children the foundation they need to be successful in school and in life. But more than half of kids in the U.S. do not have the opportunity to attend a pre-K program, making them 25% more likely to drop out of school before graduation. The PBS Kids 24/7 channel provides quality programming, games, and hands-on activities that are proven to develop early learning skills.
When you say the word PBS, immediately quality comes to mind. And not just quality, but a massive cultural diversity. Everybody here in the United States gets a look at a global culture, which is phenomenally presented. What makes PBS so strong is that it is a product of the support of the public. It stands out as a public service. It reaches out and grabs a nation and it grabs a world, and I think that's wonderful.
Welcome back to Quiz Central. It's Perfect 10 time. Teams, Perfect 10 gives you 60 seconds to answer 10 questions from your choice of clues to 3 categories. The opposing team gets 30 seconds to tackle all unasked missed or passed questions. We know Flushing has the lead, so Midland Dow, you will go first. Today's clues to the categories are fictionalized figures, big bad category, and Laura, Laura, Laura. Fictionalized figures, big bad category. Laura, Laura, Laura. Which one sounds good to you?
Big bad.
Okay, big bad category.
Yeah.
Okay. And the actual category is B phrases. Give the word beginning in B that is missing from these idioms. To let the cat out of the blank.
Bag.
Yes. Shooting fish in a blank.
Barrel.
Yep. To spill the blank.
Beans.
Yep. Blank's your uncle.
Pass.
Chomping at the blank.
The bin.
I'm sorry?
Bit.
Bit, yes, you are right.
Sorry.
Blank in the belfry.
Pass.
To blank up the wrong tree.
Bark.
Yep. To blank the midnight oil.
Burn.
Yep. Well, blank is half done.
Baked.
Nope. By the sweat of your blank.
Blood.
Nope. Okay. Turn to Flushing now. 30 seconds on the clock. Give the word beginning in B that is missing from these idioms. Blank's your uncle.
Bobby.
Yes, that's
Really?
correct. Yep. Blank in the belfry.
Bat.
Yes. Well, blank is half done.
Buddy.
Nope. By the sweat of your blank.
Brow.
That's correct. Okay, the one we missed there. Well, blank is half done. Well begun is half done. So I actually had never heard it used in that relationship before, but that doesn't matter. We move on now. And Flushing, you have 2 remaining categories here. They are fictionalized figures and Laura, Laura, Laura. Which one's it going to be?
Fictionalized.
All right, and the category is fictionalized figures. Name the novels featuring these characters based on real-life people. The Pig Napoleon, based on Joseph Stalin.
Pig farm.
Pig farm.
Nope. Willie Stark, based on Huey Long.
Pass.
Molly Bloom, based on Nora Barnacle.
Pass.
Tidal sailor shipwrecked on the Island of Despair, possibly based on Alexander Selkirk.
Treasure Island.
Nope. Dean Moriarty, based on Neil Cassidy.
Pass.
Lady Brett Ashley, based on Lady Twisden.
Pass.
Esther Greenwood, based on its author Sylvia Plath.
The Bell Jar.
That's right. Charles Swan, based partly on Charles Euphrosyne.
Swan Lake.
Nope. Nicole Diver, based on the author's wife Zelda Fitzgerald.
Great Gatsby?
Nope. And Raoul Duke, based on its author Hunter S. Thompson. Out of time. All right, Midland Dow, you got a peek at the questions. It was a tough category for Flushing. Name the novels featuring these characters based on real-life people. The Pig Napoleon, based on Joseph Stalin.
Do you know Animal Farm?
Yes. Willie Stark, based on Huey Long.
Pass.
Molly Bloom, based on Nora Barnacle.
Pass.
Tidal sailor shipwrecked on the island of Despair, possibly based on Alexander Selkirk.
Robinson Crusoe?
Yes. Dean Moriarty, based on Neil Cassidy.
Pass.
Lady Brett Ashley, based on Lady Twisden.
Defer to Carter. Okay.
Okay, a little too late. The sun also rises was the answer. Okay, so at the end of that round, Flushing still with a 30-point lead, 150 to 120. That was a tougher category than I think either team was hoping for. Willie Stark, based on Huey Long, All the King's Men. Molly Bloom, based on Nora Barnacle, Ulysses. Dean Moriarty, based on Neil Cassidy, On the Road. Lady Brett Ashley, based on Lady Twisden, was The Sun Also Rises. Let's see, Charles Swan, based partly on Charles Euphrasia, that's Remembrance of Things Past. Nicole Diver, based on the author's wife Zelda Fitzgerald, Tender is the Night. And Raoul Duke, based on its author, Hunter Thompson, was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Okay, so a little lesson for all of us there as we move in now to the homestretch round. The homestretch round is another combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that answers a toss-up question correctly will get a bonus. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. What poet depicted shores a-crowding to celebrate a man who has fallen cold and dead in an elegy for Abraham Lincoln titled, "O Captain, My Captain"? Lily Flushing.
Whitman.
That's right. Here's a bonus. What surname is shared by Austin, who helped bring about the Locarno Pact, and Neville, who embraced appeasement and declared peace for our time?
Chamberlain.
That's right. Both teams. What American philosopher of ethics wrote about the original position thought experiment in his book, A Theory of Justice? Lily Flushing.
Coates.
Nope, sorry, incorrect. How about Midland Dow?
Freud.
Lillian?
Freud.
Nope, I'm sorry. John Rawls was the person. What mineral, for which cubic zirconia is often confused, defines the high end of the Mohs hardness scale? Lily Flushing.
Diamond.
That's right. Here is a bonus. Alaska's Mount McKinley is part of what national park whose name means the high one?
Denali.
Correct. Both teams now play. What novel in which a dictionary is flung from a carriage by a graduate of Miss Pinkerton's school named Becky Sharp was written by W.M. Thackeray? That answer is Vanity Fair. Another toss-up. Light is guided along fiber optics by what process that occurs when a light wave's angle of incidence at the interface exceeds the critical angle? Ashwin, Midland Dow.
Reflection. Internal reflection.
I'm sorry?
Internal reflection.
That is correct. All right, here is a bonus. What movie ends with the arrival of the sinister Mr. Mind and depicts Dr. Savannah fighting Billy Batson, who gained superpowers during the title word? It's a bonus.
Oh.
Defer to Carter.
Superman?
No, Shazam. Shazam is it. Okay, another toss-up. The Blossom family uses a maple syrup business as a front to smuggle drugs on what CW series? Lillian, Midland Dow?
Riverdale.
Yep, bonus. Under Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge declared Year Zero as part of a genocidal campaign at what Southeast Asian country?
Laos.
Nope, Cambodia. Back to both teams. What author depicted a man who slept like a rock or a man that's dead after playing the title song on a piano in his poem, The Weary Blues? That person is Langston Hughes. Your next toss-up question. Which African country's slip into recession in September 2018 has seen an end to so-called Ramaphoria following the replacement of Jacob Zuma? And that, go ahead, Lily Flushing.
Nigeria.
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. Midland Dow. So, go ahead, Anish.
South Africa.
That is correct. All right, so let's go with a bonus there. What passage south of Tierra del Fuego separates South America and Antarctica and is named for the first British explorer to circumnavigate the globe?
Magellan.
Nope, I'm sorry. The Great Passage. Okay, and that brings to an end that round there. Okay, both of our teams doing well, 190 to 150. Flushing has the lead. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see how both teams do in final countdown.
Our great state of Michigan is truly one of a kind. From the city streets to the small towns, you can see it all right here on Destination Michigan. We'll crisscross the state in search of the sights, the sounds, and of course the people that make Michigan the greatest state in the land. Take in the scenery, meet the people, and experience the wonder of the Great Lakes State. Come along with us as we share your stories on Destination Michigan.
Unlock your newest member benefit. Over 1,000 episodes of your favorite PBS shows. American Masters, Antiques Roadshow, Nature, Nova, Masterpiece. Watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere. Become a member, sign in, and start streaming today.
All right, this is it, the Quiz Central Final Countdown. It's another 2-minute rapid fire round. The first player to ring in gets a shot at answering the question. If you get it wrong, we turn to the opposing team for a chance to answer. Our first question. An impossible compass and straight edge task was to double what platonic solid that has 12 edges, 8 vertices, and 6 square faces? Ashwin, Midland Dow.
A cube.
Right. What NFL quarterback threw a record 402 passes without an interception in 2018, spent 4 years as Brett Favre's backup, and plays for the Packers? Lily Flushing.
Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Yu the Great founded what legendary first dynasty of China that was supposedly succeeded by the Shang? Addison, Flushing.
The Han?
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. Midland Dow. Come back to that one. Sorry, a little late on that one. What tidal weather phenomena comes on Little Cat Feet in a poem by Carl Sandburg? Lily, Flushing.
Clouds.
Nope, sorry, Midland Dow. Ashwin.
Rain.
Nope. We'll come back to that. What governor of the state of Chihuahua attacked Columbus, New Mexico, prompting a retaliatory raid by John Pershing during the Mexican Revolution? Your next question. What state whose Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax was accused of sexual assault in 2019?
Virginia.
Lily Flushing.
Sorry, Virginia.
That's correct. The historic Palazzo di Normani is the seat of government in what capital of Sicily? Josh, Flushing.
Valeto.
I'm sorry?
Valeto.
Nope, sorry, incorrect. Midland Dow. Okay, Lillian?
Italy.
No, not at all. Okay, next question. What character who was born on an estate owned by Judge Miller becomes the leader of a pack of Alaskan sled dogs in the novel The Call of the Wild? Lily, Flushing.
Balto, that's wrong.
No, that's not right. How about Midland Dow? Okay, and Buck was the actual answer to that. But a good game. Flushing holds on to win with a score of 210. A nice round of applause for Flushing. All right, let's go back. The weather phenomena was fog. The governor of the state of Chihuahua was Pancho Villa. The capital of Sicily is Palermo. The leader of a pack of Alaskan sled dogs in the novel The Call of the Wild was Buck. And there was one more. Yu the Great founded the Xia dynasty. So again, that brings us to the end of this game. Both teams doing very, very well, and we'd like to offer both of you a nice round of applause. And that does it for this edition of Quiz Central. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, like us on Facebook or watch your favorite game online as we feature the best and brightest high school students from around the state. Good night.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvi Event Center.